Good evening, everyone. It's a Miami Thursday night this week with Cam Utterwood from State of the U, and welcome to Miami Hurricanes Live. So welcome in, and we certainly want you to drop in your comments and questions, and we will get to them as we talk Miami football for the next hour with Cam. Cam, how you doing tonight?
Good. Feel good, feel strong. Sorry about the last couple of weeks. I was a little under the weather and going around and things like that. But no, I mean, I feel good. And unfortunately, you sound like I did a while back. But, yeah.
I was just telling Cam, this is the best I've sounded in 3 days. And I didn't even sound this good like 20 minutes ago. I jumped in a hot shower. I just got off a flight from Florida, was down your way, and just walked in the door, jumped in the shower, came online and thought, hey, the good Lord's looking out for me. I can at least speak. It was like a squeak like an hour ago. So we'll take this for as bad as it sounds.
Absolutely. Yeah, I get it.
Talking to Miami football. Okay, so let's get to it. Ed Reed, Chief of Staff.
Yeah.
Did we know that this was in the works? And what does this title involve?
Yeah, there had been talk about that. I'd heard from one person that it was in the works and everything. And, we'll see exactly what happens with it. You could look at it a couple of different ways. I think that it is incontrovertible that Miami needed some assistance in the running of the program because the performance has not been to the level that we wanted. Last year, pretty much any time over the last 15 years with, I think one 9-win season and one 10-win season. So you bring in Ed Reed as the chief of staff, who's going to help out with logistics. I think that was part of it. Let me go back and look on stateoftheu.com, the website that I manage, and you should be reading daily. What the press release was. So yeah, okay. So all aspects of the Reed will serve in an advisory role to Diaz in all aspects. Of the football program, including strategic planning, quality control, operations, player evaluation, recruiting, and player development coaching. He will also provide assistance in team building, student-athlete mentorship, and recruiting as permissible by NCAA rules. So basically, I'm there to help out in pretty much any way. You can tell from the press release that Manny Diaz is the president or the CEO, and then Ed Reed is an advisor, so a direct report position, not a supervisory position of Diaz, which was the structure that Alonzo Highsmith reportedly was looking for to be the interstitial between the athletic director and the football coach. He was like, no, if I'm going to be the general manager, the chief of staff, the football staff includes the head coach. Therefore, my position would be over the head coach. This position, as indicated by the press release, is underneath the supervision of the head coach. It really comes down to what you want, and it's not a made up position. It's a position that other programs have. It's a position you just usually don't know the names of the people who do that job. But Ed Reed because Ed Reed is a legend and he's still a household name all over the football landscape. And, I don't care what age the player is, but especially if you play defense or in the secondary, you know who Ed Reed is. He's that guy. He's a Hall of Famer. If he's not already, he's going to be a University of Miami Sports Hall of Famer. He's a college football Hall of Famer. He's an NFL Hall of Famer. Two-time NFL champion, defensive player of the year, all kinds of stuff like that. Thorpe Award winner in college. He had his playing resume is beyond reproach. He was an assistant coach with the Buffalo Bills, an assistant DBs coach, so he has on-field coaching experience as well. And he knows what it takes to win because he's won everywhere that he has been. And that is a little bit by the power of his personality and his personal performance, but hopefully he can, help out and show some of the players in the program the way to that. There's also the counterfactual, which one of my friends is taking, which is this is a PR move entirely. It has no actual tangible foundation. It's just a meat shield and a face for an angry fan base when things go wrong. There's nothing to controvert that. So if people are excited, they have the exact same kind of support for their argument for being excited as he does for being negative. You don't really know. And so it really comes down to what Manny is going to ask Ed Reed to do and how that works. The recruiting component was a thing that my co-host and I on the Locked On Canes podcast just spoke about when we were recording before I came on here. Ed Reed will not be able to go and do in-home visits for recruiting. That's reserved for the head coach and the 10 assistant coaches. He will, however, I believe, be able to be around for on-campus recruiting events. Just like George Baez, the director of player development, he's around for all the on-campus events. he takes pictures with people. He's on the golf cart at Paradise Camp, any other visits you can be around. If it's on campus, because you're on camp, has different rules for that. So I believe that he will probably, Ed Reed, that is, be associated with the on-campus recruiting things. And I look forward to that. But yeah, it depends on how you view it. I am cautiously optimistic. Obviously, I need to see what the responsibilities are and how he does with them. If you want to be full on, the U is back and everything, orange and green, cool. If you want to be Debbie Downer and negative, cool. I get it. But yeah, I think that this move, I need to see the results before I'm really, into it. But I think that it could be a good thing. Could be, but I want to see how it actually works out.
Yeah, I am certainly, when I heard that news, I'm not on the end of the spectrum that your friend's on, because I just don't know. But anytime somebody of this magnitude, as you mentioned, we're talking about one of the great players in the history of the program, the history of college football, the history of the NFL, somebody of that magnitude, maybe their sheer presence and reputation warrants the position. But I'm trying to separate, and you just distinguished for us that we get to this point, distinguish the ability of the man versus the sheer name and presence of the career and maybe that's enough to be worth the hire in that position. So it's a very interesting, and certainly Miami's been at the forefront of having former players be involved. They've almost set the standard for schools having that mindset that it means something to bring back the greats. I don't remember any program doing that like Miami. As soon as Miami did it, at that point when you used to see those teams, probably starting in the early 90s, where you would see the guys back from the 80s coming back, won the first championship and the first couple championships on the sideline. And now you see it all over the place with all the major programs bringing back the guys and understanding, this means something to have the greats of our program back involved, and the recruits can connect with that.
Yeah, man. It's oh, Jesus. Sorry. It is one of those things where, there's the brotherhood of the University of Miami. Former Canes, they want you to be great. They come back and train here. Guys from all over the NFL who are from here in South Florida, which, has the highest percentage of NFL players come from South Florida than any other metro area, and specifically the Miami-Dade County area, or Miami-Dade County and then Broward County next. It means something else. They want to be here. They want the U to be great. In that reunion special that you can see on Fox Sports Digital, pretty much anywhere, their website or anything like that. Those guys were talking about that. Look, it wasn't the coaches who pushed those teams to be great. It was the team. It was those guys pushing each other to be great, working harder because they want to get on the field. Reggie Wayne talking about how he turned his ankle in a game, and the wide receivers, you tap your helmet to sub yourself out if you want at a time, said, I'm never tired. Like, they're going to have to drag me off. And because when Reggie Wayne was a senior, you had Andre Johnson behind him. And he was like, I see this dude in practice. He's bigger, faster, stronger than me. And Reggie Wayne had the career receptions record when he was here at Miami. And he's saying, this dude, if I let him on the field, I'm never coming back. So Curtis Johnson, the wide receivers coach, who's like worked in the NFL and working all over, I don't know where he is now, but he's one of the best wide receivers coaches recruiting and developing in, recent memory. He's saying, hey, 87, come on, I saw it. He said, Coach, nope. I've turned my ankle this play, but I'm not coming out, because you have that kind of competition. First of all, because he knew he was going to get Wally pipped. If you don't know the story, and why I say that, Wally Pipp was the first baseman for the New York Yankees. And he had the consecutive games played record. And then he took a day off to be with his wife or something, because something, or whatever it was. But he took a day off. He's just like, Skip, whatever. It's okay. I can take a day off. Who replaced him at first base? Lou Gehrig, who then never left the game for 2,130 consecutive games he started for the New York Yankees after Wally Pipp sat out for 1 day. 1 day. You think, one day, boom, job gone. At Miami, it's one play and your job can be gone. You know what I mean? So that, first of all, is going to push everybody to be better. And these guys worked. And they all work together. And it wasn't just because coach said so. No, we got to do this so that we're great. And hopefully, that special. And that's the thing that, they were talking about there. That's the mentality, I think, that has been missing from the Miami Hurricanes. There's been work, but it's a different level of work when someone tells you, hey, you should do this. You should write this TPS report. You should do this research. You should do whatever. If your boss tells you to do that, that's one kind of thing. But think about that passion project. Think about that thing that you enjoy. And you say, look, I want to know more about this. I'm going to put more time into developing my skills in whatever area, whether that's coding, whether that's singing, whether that's football, but it is self-driven, intrinsically motivated. That is infinitely more productive. And there are studies about that at every level. And hopefully Ed Reed can say, look, we did this. We worked like this. Here, Warren Sapp, come on back. Tell them how y'all used to work. Warren Sapp, whose job did he take? Speaking of taking jobs, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was starting in front of him on D-line. And then Sapp became that dude. And then The Rock went and became The Rock. But The Rock wanted to be that dude in football. And Warren Sapp came and got his job because he worked hard enough. That's what's been missing. And hopefully we will get back to that, but we will see.
Self-motivated folks that are doing what they're passionate about. Cam Underwood, State of the U. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Do we need to be doing this? Not necessarily. We love it.
Absolutely.
We love it. So
100%.
we ask you to certainly contribute to what Cam does here on the Super Chat. The Super Chat's available to you there on the live chat. We have a number of upcoming live streams. So what we do each and every week is we talk Miami football for an hour with Cam. We talk Florida State football live for an hour, Ohio State live. We've got 3 designated live streams. We would like to add a 4th. And my approach at this point is to make it a bit of a wild card each and every week as we float it around to various programs and teams. So later tonight at 8:30, UCF Knights live. Yes, we're going to talk UCF football for an hour. Tomorrow, we'll Ohio State for live for an hour at noon Eastern time. And we've got the wholesome one on to take your questions and answers that we've collected on Miami at 2 o'clock. We got Virginia Tech coming up and Notre Dame and USC and all sorts of teams. All right, back to Miami. And Devontae Williams, we posted a profile here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, on the second-rated safety in the nation, according to 247 Sports. And Leonard Shane is asking, what are our chances here at the U?
Slim. I'm going to keep it honest. He's Lorenzo Lingard's cousin. Lorenzo Lingard just left Miami to transfer to Florida, which is up in the Central Florida area. Both of them are from Lingard lived in Orlando, and Williams lives in DeLand, which is a little bit north of Orlando. Avante Williams has 2 kids, just like, so that's a thing that matters because obviously, you want to be closer to your family, like your personal nuclear family, not just like, like a cousin, like he has children and they live in that area. You know what I mean? Miami's shooting their shot though, just had an in-home did a visit up there. I don't know if it was in-home, but they were up there yesterday, I want to say, recruiting in that area. So, brought him in for an official visit last weekend to the University of Miami down in Coral Gables. So we'll see. I just don't necessarily see it happening for the cousin issue or connection because the thought was years ago when they both committed that, Lingard was eventually going to be the starting running back. You're going to bring in Williams in the secondary. Boom, boom, boom. He has, again, a couple children now, so I don't know if he had that at the time that Lingard committed, or had them, I should say. But that changes everything. I think just as a family comes first person. And the fact that, it has been ever since he decommitted from Oregon, and I never really thought he was going to go out there all the way to the West Coast. It's really been trending towards Florida. So I think it would be maybe a puncher's chance at best. Like maybe you slip in a left hook that the opponent didn't see coming. But I really don't think that Avante Williams is coming.
So an interesting comment here from Carroll City King 305, who joins us on a regular basis. But everyone, including Cam, did not want Ed Reed here. Now everyone wets their pants.
Did I say that?
I don't recall it.
Let me look it up. Underwood Sports, Ed Reed. No, the last time I talked about Ed Reed, it was debate about the 2-star comment. Let me look back on the state of the U. Obviously, we have the thing. I don't believe that I said that. I honestly do not. I really don't. I don't. I mean, people said Ed Reed is head coach. I see a Twitter comment, and then we're going back into the fall. People are talking about the halftime speech at Florida State, obviously, which was iconic. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just going to call that out as being objectively false. I didn't say that I didn't want him around. I'm so very sorry, but you just cannot. Or I defy you to find that, whether it was on here, whether it was on the Locked On Canes podcast, or whether it was on Twitter, wherever I said that, I openly invite you to find that because I didn't say that. And if I did, and you prove me wrong, then I will sit here as a man of my word, and I will admit that I was wrong, and I did say that, but I did not.
Yeah, certainly a dangerous thing, depending on the magnitude of the topic, to be throwing around comments as people supposedly made.
Right. And again, hey, I'm open. This is my government name. I'm not even using a pseudonym or like a stage name or anything. At Cam Underwood, Underwood Sports on Twitter, at The State of the U on Twitter. We're also on Facebook at The State of the U. And I'm on here for however many hundred videos we've done. Also, I think we're in the 50s of episodes that I've done on the Locked On Canes podcast. I openly invite you to go find where I said that.
So De'Ara King, Cam,
yes.
This guy is can be compared in a skill set category to Tate Martell, but he's proven it. He's done it at the big time level against big time competition. Of course, Tate Martell's done it against high schoolers and in spots during spring games and so forth and so on. But this is a guy that has accounted for 50 touchdowns in a major college football season. Does he just walk in as starter? So is his eligibility still up in the air for
no
fall?
He's a grad transfer. He's already enrolled. He's on campus at the University of Miami.
All right.
Yeah. De'Ara King is one of 6 players ever in the history of college football to account for 50 touchdowns in a single season. De'Ara King is going to be your starting quarterback. Get over it. I mean, there is no – absent injury, as I knock on my wood table, that does not happen. He's a starting quarterback. We did not bring him in here to sit. We did not bring him in here to have a quarterback battle. I hope that Manny Diaz does not defy or insult any of our intelligences by saying that this is an open battle and da-da-da-da. I get that. Whatever, say, oh, every position is available and blah, 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 blah. I get that maybe you have to say that, but if you try to sit there and really say that, no, like we have no preconceived notions. It's really actually open. It's open, if anything. De'Ara King is going to be your starter, period. Pointblank.com at a story. This is a guy who's accounted for 89 touchdowns in his college career. He played receiver because he's only 5'10 and a half. So he is short in terms of looking at an ideal or prototypical quarterback, but he's dynamic. He played wide receiver. He has a 98-yard kickoff return to his credit. He had 30 catches or 29 catches as a freshman and a sophomore before he transitioned back to quarterback. He was a record-setting quarterback at Manvel High School. He was so prolific at quarterback that Florida starting quarterback Kyle Trask never started a game in high school because he was the same year sitting behind De'Ara King. That's the kind of talent that this guy has. We're going to run an offense that suits his skill set. He's going to come in here. He had 12 touchdowns in 4 games last year and then sat out the rest because the Houston defense was terrible. This is a guy who still put up numbers. That's 3 touchdowns a game. I think he set the record in college for passing and rushing for a touchdown in like 15, 18 consecutive games. This is a guy who finds the end zone. The offense with him running it is going to be better. I just had to believe that it will because we've seen it from him. Tate Martell did it in high school. He was not able to transfer that to the college level. De'Ara King did it in high school and has gotten better at the college level. Excuse me. Look, this is your starting quarterback. He can be a transformational player in his 1 year here. He brings a skill set, particularly with the run element, that Miami I don't think has ever had at quarterback. And I know Malik Rozier ran for some yards. Malik Rozier running and De'Ara King running are different things. You know what I mean? It's just, this is a guy who could easily pass for 3,000 and run for 1,000 himself. Easily. Depending on how we actually run the engagement of quarterback run. I mean, you can go inverted veer. You can go QB stretch. You can go QB power. You can go QB draw. You can actually and this is what Dan Eno said that he did, but he didn't do. You can call run plays for the quarterback. I don't know what number he's going to be wearing yet. I anticipate it's probably going to be, I would say, number 1, if you let Jalen Knighton keep the 4 jersey that we've seen on the placard at his locker. If not, then you give him D'Eriq King the 4. You give Jalen Knighton the number 1 jersey. You move that around, but whatever number it is, you can call that number for a run play. And I mean, he can get missing. And you've seen this against top level teams. You can see they played Oklahoma and he put up numbers. Yes, they got blown out because Oklahoma was way better than Houston, and Houston's defense didn't have a prayer like a snowball's prayer on a hot day in hell of stopping the Oklahoma offense. So sure, fine, whatever. He still did numbers. You look at any time that they played a top 25 team, that could be Navy, who's going to try and truncate the game by holding the ball forever and everything, still did numbers. You look at anybody who's scheming to stop the QB run, did numbers. If you look at where they're going to stop, did numbers. And dropping dimes in the passing game. This is not a guy who's sitting there and throwing and praying. You can look at there's a highlight by Kane's tapes, I want to say, on YouTube that has big plays and touchdowns by D'Eriq King. Look, you can see some of those go routes. You can see some of these throws. Vertical routes. I'm not throwing and praying. I'm throwing a dot. I'm throwing a dime down the field to guys. Yo, this is different. Obviously, I need to see it. 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 But D'Eriq King being quarterback is a different kind of player. He already has 25-1 odds for the Heisman Trophy. He's like, I think 5 or 6 highest odds or lowest odds, however you want to call them. This is a guy who is known to the college football world. This is a guy who has been productive all along. And I hope that he's going to continue it here. We're going to run an offense that takes advantage of his skill set. So, yeah.
And pretty much within about 24 hours, much less heralded, but at the same time, when you pick up a defensive end in the same conference from Temple and QUINCY ROCHE, who racked up some ridiculous numbers, like top 5 in the nation, sacks and tackles for loss numbers, you're talking about a guy, again, some people look down at the American Conference, but my goodness, if you look at the conference, it is acquitted itself extremely well against the Power 5, and it is certainly the 6th best conference right now in college football. And shoot, some people would say Clemson might be the 5th best conference in college football. He's a guy that certainly is a great ad.
Yeah, QUINCY ROCHE had 19 tackles for loss and 13 sacks. He's already considered as, by some draft writers, the number 1 defensive end prospect for the 2021 NFL draft at present. He's a 5th-year senior also who's coming over, and he just has a wealth of talent. He has great size. He's 6'4", 235, 240, I want to say. And he's played again for a good program, Temple, over the course of time. They had Jeff Collins, and then they have – who's their coach now? Rod Carey from Northern Illinois. Yeah. Yes. But still doing numbers, playing really well. He was the American Conference Defensive Player of the Year. So it's not even just a guy who just went out there and ran around a little bit. 13 sacks and 19.5 tackles for loss is a lot. I don't care where you're playing. And yeah, you add him to the defensive line. So you put him opposite Gregory Rousseau. You're getting Jalen Phillips, the number 1 recruit in America 3 years ago. He's going to be back and eligible. You got Cam Williams, Quincy Williams, and Chance Williams, all at defensive end as well. Look, yeah, 3 Williamses, exactly. But look, you got all of this talent on the defensive line, and then you add more. Look, okay, did QUINCY ROCHE and the addition of him, did he probably end up running off Scott Patchen, who's going to return for a 6th year to college football, but has elected to take that 6th year elsewhere? Maybe. And I really wish Scott the best, man. I mean, he's persevered through so many injuries, was a high 4-star recruit coming in. His father played at Miami. His uncle played at Miami. His brother, unfortunately, went to Florida like a dum-dum. But, when Scott Patchen dropped his transfer portal note, he said, I've always wanted to be a Hurricane. And, I got to speak to Scott Patchen a couple of times and meet him. And, I mean, he's just a personable kid. And, he went through a lot here. He was the last Al Golden recruit that was on this roster. Because, yeah, he's going to be a 6th-year senior this year. I mean, he's 2015 recruiting class. But, I mean, the blood, sweat, and tears he's put into the University of Miami already. Man, I mean, I really wish him the best. I wish it would have just worked out a little bit better for him, maybe without some of the injuries or only 1 instead of 2 or 3 knee injuries, and things like that. And it is unfortunate. And yeah, when you add somebody of Quincy Roche's caliber, who's probably going to cede a lot of those snaps that you're probably going to give to him to patch in, then he's looking for a place where he can play as a 6th-year senior and just have his last year maybe be a little bit more productive than it might have been here. And that's just kind of the risk that you run. Same thing. I didn't mention it earlier with ERIQ King, but you bring him in to start. Jaron Williams, peace out, hits the portal, and Jaron Williams is good and he has potential to be great. I mean, 19 touchdowns and 7 interceptions last year. Yes, he threw 6 interceptions in 2 games. Sure, his completion percentage was lower over the last 8 games than it was on the first 4 or last 7 versus 5 because there was a couple games he didn't play in when N'Kosi Perry started. I get it. But this is a guy who's going to end up at another Power 5 school, and whether he's immediately eligible in 2020 or he takes a redshirt year as a transfer before playing in 2021, Jaron Williams has all of the tools to be very, very, very good. And I wish him well also, but that's the collateral damage of bringing in ERIQ King. That was, to me, the most readily known fallout. You bring in ERIQ King, Jaron Williams is gone. Now, whether Tate Martell and or N'Kosi Perry choose to leave down the line also, that's yet to be seen. But I never foresaw a way that you can get ERIQ King and keep Jaron Williams. I never saw that being possible, and that ended up being true. So, yeah, you bring in these 2 transfers and you lose 2 guys off of the roster in Patchen and Williams directly, I believe, by getting those guys. Maybe there's a correlation but not causation for those moves, but it seems like you bring in these guys and then these guys left out. So, yeah, I wish Jaron Scott the best going in, but, I mean, we add 2 proven players from, one of the bigger conferences. Yes, we're going to call that the 6th conference. I'm not going to call it the Power 6, but the 6th best conference in college football. The previous offensive player of the year, who's accounted for 50 touchdowns in a year, and then the defensive player of the year from this past season. Look, I can't help but be excited about those additions, even if it cost us the guys that it cost us off the roster.
Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. This is what we do each and every week with our hope is with Cam Underwood from State of the U, who does it better than anyone else in regards to talking Miami football on a regular basis. And Cam, we can, yeah, there he is. And people that want more in addition to the online reading, of course, can join your podcast. And where can they do that?
Yeah, the Locked On Cadence podcast. It's available anywhere you get podcasts: iTunes, Podomatic, Stitcher, Spotify, anywhere that you want that. You can follow that. Fred and I, we're doing 2 times a week, trying to keep it around the 2 or 3 times a week during the season, as opposed to the daily, because that can be a little bit much, but we'll see what happens with that. And then obviously I'm the managing editor of stateoftheu.com, where we have a diverse and intelligent and dynamic group of contributors bringing you all kinds of content all the time.
And Chuck Mo Beer is reminding everyone to hit the like button and subscribe right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. And you're going to see more live streams that are team dedicated, maybe not on a regular basis or a weekly basis, like Miami, Florida State, Ohio State, but we are getting a lot of people online. And then you guys can determine by the popularity and the guests that can contribute who is going to take up that 4th slot on a regular basis. But we've got UCF talk at 8:30, Ohio State tomorrow at noon, and more Miami talk. We get the wholesome one. He's going to answer some questions that you've delivered to us at 2:00 Eastern time tomorrow. So I'm going to make the most obvious statement in the world, but Rhett Lashley's offense, the ERIQ King at quarterback, this is seems to be a perfect fit.
Yeah, I think that getting Rhett Lashley as the offensive coordinator got us ERIQ King. I don't think that if Dan Enos was here that ERIQ King would have come down. He's a guy who needs to play in a spread. He needs to play in a system where he can take advantage of his skill set. I mean, he did that in high school. He did that in college to great success at Houston and at Manville High School before that. So, yeah, I really believe that. So, yeah, Rhett Lashley, he's been around. He was at Auburn before. He was at SMU most recently. He's had a variety of kinds of quarterbacks to run the systems. You had Nick Marshall at Auburn years ago, who was a dynamic runner, not the greatest passer was Nick Marshall, and ERIQ King is a better passer. So, yeah, there's that. And then he also was at SMU where he has Shane Buechele, who's more of a passer than a runner. And you saw the numbers that they put up on offense last year. So I think that is going to fit in a good way. Going back to the comment that I just saw that you put up from the other guy. I said that I did not want Ed Reed as a head coach because Ed Reed has no experience as a head coach. I don't see any problem with that. So having him come in a different role where he can be successful, I don't feel anyways tired that he's not the head coach, because we have a first-time head coach currently, and you see the growing pains that we're going through. I was not signing up to have another one who's only been an assistant. He was an assistant DBs coach in the NFL, which is great and good experience, but he only did that for 1 year. No, I don't want that. I'm going to, and so that's fine. I did say that. I said that with my chest in clear, crisp, clean English. Absolutely. But me saying that I don't want Ed Reed at the University of Miami is incontrovertibly false. Period. And if you don't understand that, then I don't know what else you want me to tell you.
Cam Underwood, State of the U. Please join him and the rest of the staff right over there on SB Nation, talking Miami football, Miami athletics on a regular basis. Of course, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. If you love the game we love, lock it in right here. National Signing Day, of course, coming up in 6 days, not to the magnitude that it's been in the past, of course, because of the early signing period in December. I think those numbers are running somewhere in the 85% range in regards to major. I'm not talking the elite, but I'm talking the elite all the way to a 3-star, what makes up the landscape of Power 5 football. Most of those guys are going in December. I counted in 247's composite of the top 100 players. Only 3 were still unsigned, Devontae Williams being one of them, and also the running back Zachary Evans being one of them, the defensive end that's probably going to Texas. Can't think of his name off the top of my head. Anyway, those were the 3. But in regards to Miami's targets for Wednesday and trying to fill up those remaining spots, what are we looking at there, Cam?
Yeah, we only got like 1 or 2 spots open, depending on how things shake, with Willie Moise, defensive tackle, who is committed but has much work to do, apparently, to get qualified academically. So we'll see what happens with him. Oh, yeah, sorry. We got, in addition, a surprise late ad, Keyshawn Smith. Excuse me. Keyshawn Smith, a wide receiver from San Diego, had been committed to and signed to Washington State. Mike Leach leaves Washington State to go to Mississippi State, and he was let out of his LOI, Keyshawn Smith was, and Miami swoops in. Shout out to Stephen Field, the tight ends coach with the West Coast recruiting connections, and got him not only to come in this class, but enroll on the last day of enrollment at Miami. So he's an early enrollee. So now this is a kid who's 6'1", 195 pounds. He can really run. And coming from a family where his brothers are 6'5" and 6'6", his dad, I want to say, is like 6'4", so he could even grow more also. And he was one of 2 or 3 wide receivers that Mike Leach handpicked to be in his air raid offense in this recruiting class. Mike Leach, if nothing else, he knows the passing game. He knows who he needs to bring in. And if he's certifying that Keyshawn Smith is a wide receiver that you want on your team, I will take it. I've seen from many a recruiting writer that Keyshawn Smith might be the biggest steal nationally in this recruiting class as a 3-star rated recruit. I think he just got bumped up to a 4-star by 247 just like the other day. But dude, this is a guy who can play. This is a guy who can run. This is a guy who might even add additional size down the line, depending on his frame. And if you think there's no way a kid is going to grow even anymore, look, people grow all the time. People, they can hit growth spurts even later. Look at Evidence Njoku, who came in at 6'5", ended up 6'6", 6'7" almost. David Njoku grew a little bit when he was here. You've got other guys who hit growth spurts. Look, Keyshawn Smith might end up being 6'2", 6'3", maybe 6'4". I mean, I'm not going to say he's going to be 6'6" like his one brother, but, I mean, it is possible. You know what I mean? So this is a guy who can really play. He adds a playmaking and speed element to the receiver room right away. And good size, not great yet, but I mean, again, maybe he might grow. So he's an early enrollee, so he's on campus. I didn't write a notebook for him because we didn't have a dedicated time for that, but I will have one up for signing day on Wednesday for him. So there's an ad. Isaiah Dunson is a 4-star who just committed the other day. He's from Georgia. He was previously committed to Georgia, or he was committed somewhere else. I want to say in the SEC. And then he's now committed to Miami. He's a 6'2" cornerback, another 4-star. So this is a late get by Mike Rumpf like he got Christian Williams last year around this time. I still want to see this be the norm, not the exception, as in like I have 3 4-stars coming in, or maybe a 5-star at cornerback, not a couple 3-stars or a developmental guy who's playing offense mainly in Marcus Clark and we're transition to defense, and then I luck into a 4-star at the end. Like, I mean, it is good that this has happened with Christian Williams and Isaiah Dunson. I would like to see it improve even further, though, where there's more guys like them and it's not the one, oh, wait, late ad. You know what I mean? So there's him. And he's supposed to be signing on Wednesday. Avante Williams is on the table, but again, I do not believe that he's coming here. Willie Moise, again, I want to see about his academics, if he's going to make it in or not. Outside of that, you really only have so right now, if Willie Moise sticks, you have 1 spot left in this class for another player. 1. Because your transfers do count against your initial 25 new counters in a year. So you have 3 transfers. You have King, you have Roche, and then you have the kicker Jose Borregales from FIU, whose brother is committed to us, Andres, in the 2021 class from Chaminade Madonna. So his one brother will leave, and then the other brother will come in as a kicker. Cool. But that means you only have now 1 additional slot. Maybe you go late after signing day and see, okay, Willie Moise, you can tell that he's not going to qualify, so you go a different direction. Maybe, if Avante Williams, like I expect, chooses Florida instead of Miami, then you go after the best player available, and this is a thing where you cannot bank your extra. You know what I mean? So you can't take 24 this year and then 26 next year. So you've got to use your 25 if you can. So maybe you look at another transfer. Maybe you look at a Tariq Black, wide receiver from Michigan, to add another wide receiver to the room, a big body. Maybe you go back to the portal and say, okay, cool. We didn't get Williams and we didn't take Moise because he wasn't going to qualify academically. Maybe you go get 2 more transfers for right now and then try to beef up next year's recruiting class in the future. You know what I mean? Like there's dynamicism available to that. But yeah, you got 1 or 2 open spots. Avante Williams and Willie Moise will tell. If you want to pencil them in to those 2 slots, depending on what happens with those guys, then you might have an additional slot after signing day, or you might have 2 slots after signing day. But it really comes down, I believe, would be just a, oh, shoot, kind of shocker. Let me do some research and utilize the quickest reflexes on the timeline, because it would be out of left field like Keyshawn Smith was.
216 on the line, 220 on the line. Please show some appreciation by liking the videos. Of course, subscribe to the channel, and also the super chat is available as Cam donates an hour of his time plus to us each and every week. Love the comment from Cuban Canes. This chat is crazy. Let's just hit that like button and listen. We might learn something. J Love T has got a question about the transfer portal and Miami obviously hurting along the offensive line and especially left tackle. I don't trust Nelson there in 2020. Why is this not a priority? We need a left tackle, Cam.
Who's saying that it's not a priority? Just because we haven't gotten one doesn't mean that they're not trying. You know what I mean? And I get it that, you don't care about the labor pains. You want to see the baby. I get it. But we're not in the building to see the process. We've reached out to reportedly almost every lineman who's hit the portal. Henry Haddis from Stanford is a name that we have. There's another name, a couple names, I forget whom. There's been a couple of guys who have committed elsewhere already. So, okay, cool. We reached out, and we're going to reach out to elsewhere because they decided not to come here. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to say that it's not a priority, but okay, maybe it's not a priority because obviously we got King and then Roche. And I believe the Roche's decision was influenced by King going. There was a talk about that kind of a thing. But just because we haven't gotten one doesn't mean that we have not, or as an offensive lineman, that is, doesn't mean we have not endeavored to try to get one. And there was also a change in offensive line coaches too. So there was that kind of disconnect maybe with some of these guys. And as well, in addition, I think that a spread system and running it the way that I hope or anticipate Rhett Lashley is going to run it could alleviate some of the pressure on the offensive line. Is the offensive line going to have to block? Yes. Are we going to have to run block? Sure. Zone, man, power, draw, all these kind of things. Are we going to have to do that? Yes, absolutely. But you're not going to run back to the defense, hard play action as much. You're not going to do some of these other things. You know what I mean? Like, I think that you're going to get the ball out quicker. You're going to have a guy who moves around. And it's like, to me, I think the comparison is, and again, y'all know me. I'm from Detroit. I grew up watching the Lions. I grew up watching Barry Sanders. The Lions' offensive line was bad. Bad, except for Lopez Brown, basically. And Kevin Glover. He was pretty good at offensive center. But so leveraging that, they're like, cool, we got Barry Sanders back there, who we know will dance around. He'll find a hole. Y'all just zone block. Y'all block an area. Y'all influence a defender to go one way or the other. Number 20 is going to figure it out. And I think that we can run some of those kind of things. We're like, yeah, we're going to zone. We're going to shift. We're going to do some things. And then let the running back find the hole. Let ERIQ King pull it. You even seen things where he was rolling out to his left on his highlight. And he's trying to throw going that way and says, oh, no, I can't throw it. It's not open. And then what did he do? Whoop. I look back this way, and there's an alley for me to run through. Gone by. You know what I mean? So you don't have to do as many things. You're not going to sit there, and it's not going to be that same pro-style offense with that blocking that, yeah, it was very rough last year. But I think that the offensive scheme being updated and changed is going to help out in that pursuit.
Good stuff as always from Cam Underwood from State of the U. Miami playing men's and women's basketball right now as well. Baseball about to start, so check out State of the U there on SB Nation. I think we may strike up some topics here in the next several weeks. We seem to have enough news that continues to flow, to talk and fill up the hour. But this could be some fun discussion for us, as Cam has taken part in these in the past, and we'll get the live stream and you folks involved in some of these questions. Who's your favorite player right now on the Canes? Who's your favorite player on the roster? We'll get to those questions. So we're not doing this tonight, Cam. I'm priming everyone for future weeks in regards to taking part in this in the live chat. And if I can keep up with the live chat, then we'll tally up the totals. But just think about your favorite player on the 2020 roster for the Canes. Who is your favorite player of all time? Miami, favorite player of all time. Who's the greatest Cane of all time? Now, you talk about a difficult decision to make.
Right.
Greatest Cane of all time. And again, it's unlike basketball and baseball where there are similar skill sets and requirements of the positions. In football, it's just difficult to compare positions. But still, hey, greatest Cane of all time. What's your favorite game, your greatest game of all time, whether that's linked specifically to championships or just a special moment in your life that draws you to a particular game that has the fondest memories, most excruciating loss. Coach, now that we've got obviously a long line of coaches that go back to the late 70s in regards to winning at Miami, who do you think is the best coach or your favorite coach? And then what would you change about the team or the program? So
lots of good questions. I'm glad that I don't have to answer that favorite player on the roster thing, because openly it was DJ Dallas, and now he's going to the NFL. So I haven't reconsidered who's on the roster currently. But yeah, that would have been my answer, and I was just thinking oh God, yeah, no, he's not on the roster anymore. So what would my answer be? I don't know. We'll see.
Who was the first Cane that really caught your eye in regards to, okay, this is my man, this is the guy?
It's so random, and I wrote this when I did my Why I'm a Miami Hurricane for State of the Youth a couple years ago. Jason Geathers, number 3, played running back for a while, played wide receiver. He's 6'1", 205 from Santa Lucia's High School. He was a couple years in front of me, I want to say, in college, or a year in front of me and everything. And I just thought he looked the part, and I thought that he was going to be that guy. And he ended up not being. He was a good player. He scored the touchdown in 2002 after Willis McGahee. He had that long screen play up the sideline against Florida State. It went from the 20 to the 11. So however many yards it is, 69, actually. Nice. And then after that, the 11-yard touchdown on the draw, the next play, that was Jason Geathers, who ran that in. I was just a fan. I thought he was going to be that dude. He had the look, he had the swag, and I don't know why. And it wasn't even he was Jason Geathers for everything. He was a fine college player. He did his role. He had a couple hundred yards here, a couple hundred yards there, in a season, not in a game, in a season. He was, less than 1,000 yards total offense in his career, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know, man. He was I was a fan. Absolutely. And people were nah. I'm I don't even know the guy. I've never met him or anything, but that number 3, Jason Geathers, that's the answer for me.
And that's why I love that question more than the greatest player,
Yeah.
because then some people throw out some oddball answers, but basically you've got a group of players that you choose from, and then you have your argument. But favorite player, there's no criteria. Your favorite player can be anybody.
Right. It's just a guy that
Yeah.
you liked. And I mean, like I said, and people are like, I've always said, I'm like, and again, this is in 2000. This is in 2000. So think of all the names that you know in 2000, 01, 02 from the roster. Jason Getters. True story. It just was. To the question or the statement on the screen, Sergeant AR-10 fixed the practice field. Apparently there was a disconnect or a disagreement. The University of Miami said the practice field is fine. The San Francisco 49ers, who were practicing at our facility this week ahead of the Super Bowl, said that it is not and that their players are going to get injured. And so we're going back and forth and everything. And the Niners just said, look, fine. We'll pay for new practice fields on the outside. Boom, done. You guys believe that it's fine. We don't. If our players are going to be there, we're going to pay to get it fixed. So apparently it got fixed. So we got a new practice, or the Green Tree practice fields got resurfaced and redone at the expense of the San Francisco 49ers. So thanks. Yeah, it was
which actually, Cam, leads me to a larger topic along the same lines. Because, as you know, there's been an arms race in college football for, I would say, largely in the last 10 to 15 years in regards to recruiting based on facilities. And some of the facilities that you see, we'll see from time to time, somebody will do whether it be ESPN or the Big Ten Network or whomever, will look at certain facilities that are being renovated. And it's just mind-boggling the amount of money and attention that is given to these facilities. Where do you think Miami stands in regards to facilities versus competition?
I think that they're fine. I don't think that they're at the top. I think they're middle-ish. I got the new practice facility, or redid the Hecht Athletic Center, the football offices and everything, the locker room, the meeting rooms, the things like that. Obviously, I think that the biggest draw is location, just being in a great subtropical area here in South Florida, and then all the improvements on campus. If you look at the School of Music is very close in proximity to where the football offices are and everything, just past like the intramural fields in my old dorm. Stanford Residential College is a short walk there, so that's a thing that will draw people in. Jalen Phillips is a music engineering major, by the way. You have a new student center with an integrated Rathskeller, which is a bar on campus. Yes, a bar on campus. You're jealous. You have that. There's a new university Lakeside Village dorm going up around one of the residential colleges. They're actually tearing down my residential college where I lived at Stanford and Hecht, those two that are the two towers each. They're tearing those down and putting up like a high-rise looking thing there. That's going to be an amazing dorm. So I think that like those things are great. Obviously, if you want to live off campus, there's all kinds of housing options in the local area. It can be Coconut Grove, it can be South Miami, it can be Coral Gables proper. I think that the things are fine. So, like in the football facilities area, I think it's good, if not great. Good, definitely not great. In comparison to some of these other ones. I think in terms of the stadium, it is beyond reproach. The NFL is hosting the Super Bowl at Hard Rock Stadium this week. I've been there through some of the upgrades and updates and things. You got the tennis open. The Miami Open is now moved up there to the Hard Rock area. They're trying to get a Formula One race there and everything. The spotlight event in American sports is being played at the stadium where Miami plays their home games. I don't see how that can be a downside on facilities. It's not on campus. We're never going to get an on-campus stadium. I joke about it sometimes on Twitter with people. I was joking about it earlier with my friend AP Dirty Bird, because I just like to tag him in on those because he knows that that's not going to happen and he gets him mad when I do that. So, hey, if you can't make fun of your friends and mess with your friends, then I don't know why you're friends. So like, that's one of the ways that I mess with him. But we're never going to have an off-campus stadium. Never, 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 never. It's not going to happen. There is no better option than Hard Rock in South Florida. There's not. It is one of the preeminent football stadiums in this country. It just is. And especially with the updates that are going. Bro, come on, man. So I think that that's positive. I think that the things that we've done on campus with the football offices and football facilities are positive, and it has increased and improved the standing of Miami in terms of that arms race of competition and things like that. But yeah, I don't think that it's going to be the highest or the best necessarily facilities around. But when you add in some of those things like the Lakeside Village, like the UC, the RAD, the Rock in the middle of campus, the proximity to all kinds of things, whether you want to go down to the water in Coconut Grove, whether you want to go over to Brickell, if you want to go down to South Beach or all those other kind of things, those ancillary benefits are built into the presentation and the offering that we have at the University of Miami. So on our facilities proper, I would say goods like a B, maybe edging to a B plus. I would even fight you if you want to say B minus or C plus on those in comparison to some of these other ones that are just ridiculous, like at Alabama and Clemson, for example. But you had to fold in all the other things because, you're not living on an island or, apart or away from some of these other things. And sure, as a football player, you might not be able to get to all these things in Coconut Grove, Brickell, downtown, South Beach all of the time. But when you do have time, those things are available to you. And I think that matters as well.
Gator Nation 2019, I know you're not welcome here by some, but you're officially welcomed here, of course, from the voice of college football, the host right here. And thank you so much for the support. Love the other college football fans who join us on the Miami live stream because, of course, you just talk college football and we love the game across the board. So everyone is invited. We're talking UCF live at 8:30 Eastern time. Cam, we appreciate you once again. More than you could know for providing your insight and information, your stories, your candor, everything that is connected to both passion and knowledge of the game. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. And, it's good to be back on here. I know that, I was away for those last couple of weeks when I wasn't feeling well and everything. So, I'm sorry to you guys if you missed me. And hopefully there's that. That I'm back. So just be sure, if you miss me a lot, then check out the Locked On Canes podcast, which is a couple of times a week, anywhere that you get podcasts, iTunes, Podomatic, Stitcher, Google Play, anywhere else. Also, be sure that you check us out on State of the U. So stateoftheu.com on all social. That's Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at The State of the U. And my personal Twitter, which I'm kind of taking a break from right now, is at Underwood Sports, but I'll be back on there soon.
All right, everybody get primed to boo here in just a second. In just a minute or two, I'm doing a record on Notre Dame.
Ew, why? I'm not even booing.
It's what I do.
Well, okay. I mean, hey, if you like it, I love it. But, I love it for you, but not for me. So until next time, my friend.
All right, Cam. Thank you so much.
All right,
we'll see everybody later. And recall what I just stated in regards to live streams. We'll be right back here at 8:30 Eastern time. So even though you may not be a UCF fan, you're welcome right back here to talk college football on the live chat here at 8:30 Eastern time, UCF live stream. We will see you soon.